Hello and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to read Salesforce exam questions and to understand exactly what it is that they're asking. Now, we all know that Salesforce certification exams are tough, and what makes them so difficult is the way that the questions are written. Just understanding the question and what it's asking you is difficult, and if you don't know what you're being asked, how can you pick the right answer? Well, the ABC method is a powerful technique that you can use to help comprehend and analyse the questions you'll face on the exam. Over the next few minutes, we're going to look at the three pillars of the ABC method, as well as an example so you can understand how to apply this strategy for exam success. It's one of the simplest but most impactful methods that you can use to increase your exam performance drastically, and it's been a huge factor for me in passing my 10 Salesforce certification exams. So there are three pillars to the ABC method. A, the actual question, B, the baloney or bullcrap, and C, the caveat. So let's walk through them one by one and apply them to a question so we can see them in action. I generally run through them in the order of B, A, C, but the ABC method sounds much better and cooler than the BAC method. So here's the question that we will use as our example so we can see how the ABC method works in action. Super Big Sandals Limited is an e-commerce organisation that specialises in selling high-quality bespoke sandals. They're undergoing rapid growth, and the Salesforce administrator is struggling to keep up with their duties. As a way to combat this, they've decided to allow a few certain users to become super users, and they'll need additional permissions such as deleting accounts, deleting contacts, deleting leads, and exporting reports. Permission sets for these additional permissions already exist in the Salesforce org, so what is the best option that the Salesforce administrator can take? Create a new profile with the appropriate permissions, assign each permission set to the user, create a permission set group that contains all permission sets and assign the permission set group to the users, or create and assign the new permission sets to the users. So let's start with B. B is baloney, and what is the baloney in the question that makes no impact to us? What nonsense is in there that we don't need? The first part of getting to the crux of the question is to strip out any information that doesn't serve us. We need to cut through the noise and to get to the good stuff. So think about what actually matters. Does it really matter that Super Big Sandals sell amazing sandals? Does it matter that they're in rapid growth or that the admin is struggling to keep up with their duties? Well, not really, so we can get rid of that part of the question. That leaves us with the following stripped down version. As a way to combat this, they've decided to allow a few certain users to become super users, and they'll need additional permissions such as deleting accounts, deleting contacts, deleting leads, and exporting reports. Permission sets for these additional permissions already exist in the Salesforce org, so what is the best option that the Salesforce administrator can take? Next, we need to move on to A. So what is the actual question? Well, this is where we identify the actual question. It means understanding what the question is actually asking us. Is it about a specific concept, limitation, or capability? To do this, you need to focus on key terms and phrases in the question that will indicate what we're being asked. So if we take a look at the question again, there's a lot of information in there to unpack, but we need to get to the actual question. It talks about users who will become super users who will need additional permissions. It's basically asking us what we can do to grant users additional permissions. Then at the end, we're asked about what the best option is. So it's not a question of what can be done, it's a question about what is the best action to take. Now, I do want to point out here that when you approach any Salesforce exam question, you should always pick the best answer, not just the one that could be correct. We'll explore that concept in another exam tip in a few weeks, so don't worry too much about it now. Now we have our really refined version of the question, and our question is, what is the best way to apply multiple permission sets to users? That is much easier to understand, isn't it? The final part of this method is to look for caveats, also known as modifiers. It means looking for words or existing conditions that may impact our answer choice. This is a really important step, and it can mean the difference between picking the right or wrong answer. You'll often see these in questions where it talks about sending email limits or data loading limits. One common example you'll see is when you're asked a question about importing a number of records into Salesforce. Everything on the question may point to the data import wizard being the best option. Then, right at the end, they'll mention that you need to import 60,000 records, meaning that you'll need to use Data Loader. So remember, Data Import Wizard has a limit of 50,000 records at a time. So if we take a look at our question, nothing really stands out. It's only when we look at our answers that we can spot the caveat. We have create a new profile with the appropriate permissions, assign each permission set to the users, create a permission set group that contains all permission sets and assign the permission set group to the users, or create and assign the new permission sets to the users. So we have options for creating new permission sets or assigning existing permission sets. So if we look back at our question again, you'll see that we have the clue of permission sets for these additional permissions already exist in the Salesforce org. That means that we don't need to create them. We also have the few certain users remark, which means we need to look at the best option when it's only a small number of users that will be impacted. That is important because we have the option of choosing between a profile or permission sets and permission set groups. A big part of successfully passing your certification exam is the ability to reduce the risk of choosing the wrong answers and to maximize the potential of choosing the right one. I use the process of elimination to do this, and I'll run you through what that looks like and how you can apply it another day. We now have everything we need to understand the question correctly, and we're left with this. What is the best way to apply multiple permission sets to a small group of users if existing permission sets can be used? Before we reveal the answer, let's take a look at the question before and the question after the ABC method. Before, Super Big Sandals Limited is an e-commerce organisation that specialises in selling high-quality bespoke sandals. They're undergoing rapid growth, and the Salesforce administrator is struggling to keep up with their duties. As a way to combat this, they've decided to allow a few certain users to become super users who will need additional permissions such as deleting accounts, deleting contacts, deleting leads, and exporting reports. Permission sets for these additional permissions already exist in the Salesforce org. What is the best option that the Salesforce administrator can take? Create a new profile with the appropriate permissions, assign each permission set to the user, create a permission set group that contains all permission sets and assign the permission set group to the users, or create and assign the new permission sets to the users. After, what is the best way to apply multiple permission sets to a small group of users if existing permission sets can be used? Create a new profile with the appropriate permissions, assign each permission set to the users, create a permission set group that contains all permission sets and assign the permission set group to users, or create and assign each new permission set to the users. That's a pretty big difference, isn't it? Well, the correct answer is create a permission set group that contains all permission sets and assign the permission set group to the users. I hope you got that right, but if you didn't, let me explain my reasoning. First, we have the choice between profiles and permission sets. While we could create a new profile to achieve this, it isn't the best practice and it would require more maintenance by the administrator, and we want to make their lives easier, not harder. So we can rule this one out. If a large number of users needed those permissions, we could look at creating a new profile, but in this case, we don't need to. The caveat that we picked out earlier was a few certain users, and that's helped us rule this out as well as our knowledge about Salesforce best practices. The other caveat that we spotted was that the permission sets that granted the additional permissions already existed, so we don't need to create them. That rules out the answer, create and assign the new permission sets to the users, as we don't need to create them. So that leaves us with two answers. Assign each permission set to the users, or create a permission set group that contains all permission sets and assign the permission set group to the users. Remember, we're looking for the best solution. So what is going to make our administrator's life easier? Maintaining multiple permission sets, or creating one single permission set group that can be assigned to the super users? Hopefully, you said the permission set group. A permission set group allows the administrator to combine the existing permission sets in one group that they can manage easily. They can quickly add and remove it from users should their status as a super user change. If they need to edit what permissions are granted, they can do that too. I hope you found this useful and it helps you with your Salesforce certification exams. If you are looking to become Salesforce certified and you need clear, concise and comprehensive learning material, then head to Get Force Certified. The link is in the description for this video. I hope you found it useful, and please don't forget to like and subscribe, as I'm going to be releasing more videos like this in the next few weeks, all designed to help you become Salesforce certified quickly and easily. Thank you.